The crowd cheers, but the applause carries a quiet question. How is he paying for this? The games unfolding before them are spectacular, even by Roman standards, filled with exotic animals, elaborate performances, and public feasts. For the citizens packed into the stands, it is entertainment and generosity. But for the political class watching more closely, it signals something else. Risk. The young man orchestrating all of this does not possess the fortune required to finance it, and everyone in Rome understands that. The spectacle is real, but the money behind it is borrowed, promised, or not yet secured. To cautious observers, this looks reckless, but to Julius Caesar, it looks like survival. In Rome, anonymity kills careers faster than debt ever could.
Welcome to the Mammoth in the Room podcast, where we share real-life stories about leadership and their underlying human behavior rooted in science and research. We unpack and interpret the evolutionary forces behind it to help you to better lead your people for outstanding business results.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Mammoth in the Room, where we explore leadership lessons that stand the test of time, using history and neuroscience to explain the human behavior behind pivotal decisions. Because those same patterns still shape how leaders and teams succeed or fail in organizations today. I'm Nicholas Bocconi, CEO of Mammoth Leadership Sciences. In the last episode, we looked at the Roman Republic before Caesar, a system that still appeared stable from the outside, but had begun rewarding speed, boldness, and visible success more than careful restraint. Today, we meet Julius Caesar inside that system, long before he becomes a conqueror, at a stage where he is still fragile. An ambitious outsider with a famous name, enormous expectations, and very little real power. Caesar's family name carries prestige. The Julii trace their ancestry deep into Roman history, claiming descent from the goddess Venus herself. And in Rome, lineage matters because a recognizable name opens doors that remain close to others. But prestige is not the same as power. By Caesar's youth, the family's political influence has faded, leaving behind reputation without the network of alliances and resources that once supported it. This creates pressure because expectations of greatness remain while the path toward it is uncertain. In Rome, that gap can become dangerous as rivals interpret hesitation as weakness. Opportunities disappear quickly and allies drift elsewhere. A young aristocrat cannot remain invisible for long. And Caesar learns early that Roman politics can turn brutally without warning. When he is still young, the dictator Lucius Cornelius Sulla seizes control of the Republic and launches a campaign of purges against his enemies, posting lists of condemned men in the forum, confiscating property, and erasing entire families from public life. The message is unmistakable. Political power in Rome does not always respect tradition or status. Caesar experiences this personally when Sulla demands that he divorce his wife. Caesar refuses, and the decision places him in immediate danger, forcing him to flee and hide while Sulla's supporters search for him. He eventually receives a pardon, but the lesson remains. In Rome, safety can disappear suddenly, and waiting quietly for opportunity rarely protects anyone. During these early years, Caesar begins shaping the skills that will later define him. He studies rhetoric obsessively, not as an academic exercise, but as a tool to influence, because in Rome, public speaking is political survival, and reputation is built through persuasion, performance, and presence. He learns how crowds respond to confidence and how public memory is formed, recognizing that perception can move faster than reality. One idea becomes increasingly clear. Authority may come later, but recognition must come first. If people know your name, you exist in the political arena. If they do not, your career never begins. When Caesar enters public life, he makes a decision that shocks many of his contemporaries. He spends money he does not have. Roman politics requires spectacle, festival, games, and public generosity. Yet most politicians finance these cautiously because failure to repay creditors can destroy them. Caesar approaches this differently. He borrows heavily and spends aggressively, turning debt into a political instrument that funds public entertainment, infrastructure, and alliances. To outsiders, the behavior appears irresponsible, but to Caesar, it is calculated, strategic. Visibility generates loyalty. Loyalty creates political space. And without recognition, he would remain another aristocrat with a fading name. With recognition, he becomes someone Rome must take seriously. That becomes a price of relevance. Again and again, Caesar chooses visibility over caution, staging elaborate games, taking bold political positions, and placing himself constantly in the public eye. Each move carries risk. Creditors grow impatient, rivals criticize him, and traditionalists question his methods. Yet the strategy works. People begin to talk about Caesar, and whether they admire or criticize him, the outcome is the same. Rome recognizes him. In a system driven by attention and reputation, recognition is already a form of power. By the time Caesar begins holding meaningful offices, something important has already happened. He is visible. Even those who distrust him acknowledge his presence. His name circulates in political conversation, and allies begin forming not only because of what he has done, but because of what he might become. This reveals a deeper leadership dynamic. Formal authority often follows influence, not the other way around, as people respond to reputation long before institutions grant power. Caesar understands this instinctively and invests in relationships, presence, and symbolic gestures that strengthen his position before he fully controls office. Step by step, he moves from outsider to contender. At the same time, the Republic continues evolving in ways that favor someone like Caesar. Successful generals command loyalty, political figures who deliver results gain attention, and individuals who act decisively begin to stand out, even when they stretch tradition. The system still speaks the language of restraint, but behavior increasingly rewards boldness. Caesar does not create these incentives. He just recognizes them earlier and adapts faster than many of his rivals. For now, Caesar has survived the dangerous early stages of Roman politics by developing visibility and then turn it into influence. But survival brings new pressure. Debt grows, allies expect results, and rivals watch closely. The next step will require more than ambition. It will require an alliance powerful enough to reshape the Republic itself. Next time, we'll explore that alliance, the first triumvirate. All right, what does this leave us with as modern leaders? If you want to take away only two things from this episode, it would be these. First, influence often emerges before formal authority, because the human brain is wired to respond to visibility, status signals, and social recognition. From an evolutionary perspective, individuals who were seen and acknowledged within a group gained access to resources and protection, which means modern organizations still reward those who are visible and engaged long before titles catch up. And secondly, environments shape behavior through underlying reward systems in the brain. When recognition, attention, and momentum trigger positive reinforcement through dopamine-driven reward pathways, leaders are naturally pushed toward action over hesitation, especially under pressure or perceived scarcity. For modern leaders, the question becomes practical. Are you consciously shaping your visibility and reputation, or are you waiting for authority to validate you before stepping forward? All right, this was it for today. If this episode resonated with you, whether as a leader, a student of history, or someone curious about why power unfolds the way it does, please subscribe, rate, and share it with someone in your network who would appreciate this kind of perspective. And lastly, if you're interested in more, you can order my book. It has the same title as this podcast, The Mammoth in the Room. It offers a practical roadmap how great leaders and their teams embrace evolutionary truths for outstanding business results. And it does that in 3 sections: on people, on strategy, and on implementation. Until next time, lead wisely, think critically, and don't let ancient instincts quietly hijack your modern leadership. I'm Nicholas Bocconi, and this is The Mammoth in the Room.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next episode of The Mammoth in the Room.